Who says कि okay Coldplay India करेंगे in Ahmedabad?
The band wanted to play in the world's largest cricket stadium. In the beginning, it sounded as a bizarre thought. डरे हुए थे, बिकेगा नहीं बिकेगा. And finally, it became the world's largest concert. We gave an economic lift of close to 700 crores to the city of Ahmedabad over 2 days.
It's an expensive show.
Our tickets were not expensive. हमारी ground की ticket 6,500 रुपए की थी.
Reality में tickets तो लोग 6,000 में नहीं मिली, लोगों को काफी महंगी मिली.
Because there was a bot attack by secondary ticket sites from all over the world.
7 departments coming after you. Do you think there are forces who want you to shut down? आशीष हेमरजानी, फाउंडर ऑफ BookMyShow. ये एक मूवी टिकट बुकिंग प्लेटफॉर्म से स्टार्ट हुआ था और आज वो इंडिया के लाइव इवेंट्स इकोनॉमी को लीड कर रहा है. इस एपिसोड में हम जानेंगे इंडिया में आज लीडिंग बिजनेस अपॉर्चुनिटीज कौन सी है. Which are the kind of artists which India wants to consume now?
There's been a massive resurgence of independent musicians.
Something like Coldplay show. What do they demand?
We've had artists in the past who would say that I want a bright purple Pareto wafers. And sometimes these riders are a trick because they want you to read everything.
So you say that you're a cockroach. What do you mean by that?
हम survive करते हैं. अभी 25 साल से we went through the .com bust. We went from 150 people down to 6. We had zero revenues. I said we are survivors even till the end of the world.
Where the maximum revenue comes from?
Our live events business today gives us about 40% of the revenue, and now movies is down to 60%.
Where is the next big opportunity?
Air, water and food. We'll need all these three things.
So what's the origin of BookMyShow?
Smoking and drinking.
आगे बढ़ने से पहले इस चैनल को सब्सक्राइब कर लीजिए ताकि हम आपके लिए इसी तरह से और इंसाइटफुल और बेहतर पॉडकास्ट बनाते रहें. एंड इस पूरे शो का ऑडियो एक्सपीरियंस स्पॉटिफाई पे अवेलेबल है जहाँ पे आप हमें फॉलो कर सकते हैं. एंजॉय द शो. Why would I do something in Ahmedabad? Because concerts of this size don't happen there usually.
Yeah.
And if you hear it's Mumbai, Delhi, Bangalore, because there's an urban audience which is ready to pay, ready to commute, and there's a ready market. You guys be doing so many concerts there already.
Yeah.
Why Ahmedabad? That was first.
Yeah.
Then second is why Ahmedabad? Because there's no alcohol as well.
Bombay, we were anyways doing
Yeah.
Coldplay. So that was done. We were doing DY Patil. We announced 2 shows. The band wanted to play in the world's largest cricket stadium. It came as a thought from the band to say, why can't we play at the Narendra Modi cricket stadium? Okay. In the beginning, it sounded as a bizarre thought, right? For various reasons. Obviously, the band didn't know. Nobody knew. You cited it right. Infrastructure, alcohol, a cricket stadium, right? It's never been done before. Why Ahmedabad? Will consumers come? Is there a large enough population that will come for that show? Do they understand the music? All of that, right? 1,000 questions. We had 1,000 questions. So there was a lot of people internally, externally who were like, no, you can't. 1,000 reasons why we shouldn't. But when somebody tells you no, it really excites me. It excites me to no extent. कोई ना बोल दिया ना मतलब करना ही है. But डरे हुए थे कि एक शो करें, बिकेगा नहीं बिकेगा. तो पहले आइडिया क्या थी कि इसमें 70% हम लोग we'll do it for charity. You do something right and it'll be funded. Gujarat tourism, there were ideas. We said हम ये शो ले आते हैं. But काफ़ी बार कैंसिल हुआ. Stadium not available, नहीं हो सकता है, funding नहीं होगी, ये नहीं होगा. Then I took it to the Gujarat Cricket Association and BCCI. And just like how it got me excited, I shouldn't be saying it, but Mr. Jay Shah was supremely excited. ये तो करना ही है, करो, तो करो. So now I had a partner in crime. करना है ये तो. So I went back to the band, the management, Live Nation, and we said, look, it's happening, but there are some changes. Here are the things. Now we got into execution mode, and I'll tell you, the execution mode was, what should the pricing be? Who is going to come for the concert? Will people come? Will it be locally from Gujarat? Will they come from outside? If they come from outside, do we have enough trains? And that time the problem was, we spoke to the railway minister. He's a great guy. Kumbh Mela was on. All the trains were busy with Kumbh Mela.
Yeah.
Mr. Ashwini Vaishnav. And his office, his secretary was very, very helpful. He said, it's hard, but let's work on it. The challenge was, how do you transport people there? Because even if people were to come, what's the infrastructure? Hotels. So Ahmedabad's infrastructure is really improved, right? You look at the river banks, the roads, access to the stadium, access out. There's a metro line that terminates at the stadium. So you can transport people. But getting into the city, there aren't enough flights. From Bombay, from Bangalore, how do people come? And when we sold the tickets, there was a lot of controversy around that as well. But I mean, I'm happy to talk about it. But उसमें क्या हुआ कि हमने जब एनालाइज किया, करीबन 75% ऑफ द पीपल गुजरात के बाहर से आ रहे थे. बिकॉज हमारे पास आपका जिप कोड है, आपको टिकट घर पे भेजनी है, हमारे पास आपकी एड्रेस है, मोबाइल नंबर, ईमेल आईडी सब है. तो 75% लोग गुजरात के बाहर से आ रहे हैं, 25% गुजरात से आ रहे हैं, जिसमें से 50% आर कमिंग फ्रॉम अहमदाबाद, जो 25% में से, या 40%. तो बाकी ड्राइव करके आएंगे. और बाहर से जो आएंगे वो कैसे आएंगे? उनको तो फ्लाइट चाहिए, इतनी फ्लाइट्स है ही नहीं. हमने एनालाइज किया, अगर आप 1,11,000 टिकट बेच रहे हैं, अगर आपने बोला कि 80,000 टिकट पर शो, मतलब 1,60,000 लोग आएंगे 2 दिन में, और आपने डिवाइड किया, एक फ्लाइट 200 सीट है, उतनी फ्लाइट्स ही नहीं थी. मैथमेटिक्स है, गणित है, उसमें तो कुछ आप चीट भी नहीं कर सकते. मतलब क्या बोलोगे, ये लोग कैसे आएंगे? तो दैट वाज एक बड़ा चैलेंज. द सेकंड था कि 15 दिन बाद वहां पर एक इंटरनेशनल गेम थी, इंडिया इंग्लैंड. ग्राउंड को प्रोटेक्ट कैसे करें? बिकॉज वो पूरे ग्राउंड को कवर करना है, एंड टन्स ऑफ मटीरियल, हाइड्रास, फॉकलिफ्ट्स, इतना मटीरियल आने वाला था ऑन द एंड स्टेज. हाउ डू यू प्रोटेक्ट द पिच? बिकॉज अगर आपने स्टेज देखा है, इट हैज अ रनवे एंड इट हैज अ बी स्टेज एंड इट हैज अ सी स्टेज. बी स्टेज सिट्स ऑन टॉप ऑफ द पिच, एंड पूरी आपका वो टर्फ है, वो टर्फ को कैसे प्रोटेक्ट करें, उसको ग्रास को पानी कैसे दें? तो वी हैड अ पिच क्यूरेटर जो हमारे साथ वाज वर्किंग फॉर ओवर अ ईयर ऑन हम पिच को कैसे और ग्राउंड को कैसे प्रोटेक्ट करेंगे, एंड कितना वेट एंड टनेज जा सकता है और कितने टाइम तक जा सकता है. हमने पूरा एनालिसिस किया था कि कौन सा मटेरियल पिच पे जाएगा, कौन सा मटेरियल ग्राउंड पे जाएगा, कितना डिप्रेशन होगा, कैसे ग्रास उसमें ग्रो होगी, ट्रांसलूसेंट होगा तो लाइट एंड यूवी रेज कहाँ जाएंगे, कितना वाटर करना पड़ेगा, पिच निकालने के बाद कैसे वो फॉकलिफ्ट्स आएंगे, फिर हम ये कवर निकालेंगे, फिर नया कवर डालेंगे, उसके नीचे कितने लेवल्स जाएंगे. निकालने के बाद हमको डैमेज को कैसे, डैमेज तो होगा बट उसको कैसे वापस रिवाइव करना है, प्लेटफॉर्म बनाना है ऑन द पिच एंड द सब्स्टिट्यूट पिचेस, उसके नीचे ग्रो लाइट्स लगानी है, यूवी लाइट्स. तो अगर अंधेरा है, इट विल मिरर द यूवी लाइट्स ऑफ द सन, एंड वो ग्रो लाइट्स में वो जो ग्रास कवर होगा वो खराब नहीं होगा. रोलर कितना चलाएंगे, इट वॉज अ होल एक्सरसाइज. इट वॉज अ डिफरेंट एक्सरसाइज ऑल टुगेदर. तो देयर वर लॉट ऑफ ट्विस्ट एंड टर्न्स. देन फूड एंड बेवरेज लॉस, बिकॉज अल्कोहल नहीं है. विल दैट सब्स्टिट्यूट, कि अगर हमने अल्कोहल नहीं बेचा, बिकॉज गुजरात में प्रोहिबिटेड है, तो लोग आएंगे, विल दे एंजॉय, विल दे हैव द सेम एक्सपीरियंस? सो व्हाट वी डिड वाज, देयर वर एक्स्ट्रा फ्लाइट्स जो आई बॉम्बे. हमने सबको कनेक्शंस बता दिए, अगर आप बॉम्बे आएंगे एंड आप पूना आएंगे, आप बैंगलोर आएंगे या कोई और सिटी में आएंगे, you can take a train, and we had extra trains which the railway ministry gave us from Bombay, which could come to the place. Then metros, हमने ऐसा timing किया that people could then leave the same night because enough hotel inventory नहीं थी. And finally, it became the world's largest concert over 2 days. And like I said, 75% of the population came from outside of Gujarat. And they all came in safely, they all went safely, they didn't miss alcohol, they had the world's greatest experience. अच्छा, ये शो की खासियत क्या थी? 2 चीजें. एक तो दिस वॉज वन ऑफ द फ्यू रेयर शोज विच वॉज लाइव स्ट्रीम्ड एंड लाइव रिकॉर्डेड. लाइव स्ट्रीम शो था. आज भी अगर आप जियो स्टार पे जाएंगे, 1 साल के लिए ये लाइव है, आप देख सकते हैं. इसमें 28 कैमराज यूज हुए थे. स्पाइडर कैम यूज हुआ था जो पहली बार यूज हुआ था. हमने एक्स्ट्रा जो लाइट्स लगाई थी, लेजर्स, वो पहले कभी ये शो में नहीं. सो ये बहुत यूनिक शो था. प्लस जो हमारा एक शो था वो 26 जनवरी को था, जिसमें there was the national anthem, everybody stood up, the national colors were there, and it was a celebration. तो it all came together. And अगर हम ये शो 26 जनवरी को कहीं और करते, इंडिया में anyways ड्राई डे होता, तो you can't serve alcohol. तो अगर बॉम्बे में भी करते, ड्राई डे था. So it all worked out.
It's an expensive show.
Our tickets were not expensive. हमारी ग्राउंड की टिकट 6,500 रुपए की थी. It's the cheapest anywhere in the world. And we purposely kept it that way. We said we want to give the opportunity to as many people. इसलिए तो मारामारी थी. Our tickets were the cheapest anywhere in the world. Ground की आप टिकट देख लीजिए, 6,500 रुपए की टिकट थी to stand right near the stage. $80 was the cheapest ticket.
बट मतलब रियलिटी में टिकट तो लोग 6,000 में नहीं मिली, लोगों को काफी महंगी मिली. That's a different fiasco.
जो 3,70,000 लोग हैं उनको 6,500 में मिली ग्राउंड टिकट्स. एंड देन देयर वर वेरियस प्राइसेस. अब किसने किसको बेचा, किसने कहाँ कौन से सोर्स से खरीदी, आई कैन कंट्रोल दैट. वो मेरे हाथ में ही नहीं है. जो इतनी आवाज़ हुई कि ब्लैक मार्केटिंग हुई, हमने टिकट्स ब्लॉक की, हमने टिकट्स नहीं दी, हमने ये किया वो किया, हमारा स्टैंड क्लियर है आज तक. आपका IMI नंबर, आपका मोबाइल नंबर, आपका यूनिक आइडेंटिटी, ट्रांजैक्शन ID, ईमेल एड्रेस, मोबाइल नंबर हमारे पास है. हमारे पास आपका घर का एड्रेस है. तो अगर आप 3,70,000 लोग लेते हैं या 3.5 लाख लोग लेते हैं, उसको आप 4 से डिवाइड करेंगे, उतने लोगों का हमारे पास घर के एड्रेस हैं. आज भी आप देख लीजिए. इसीलिए तो सुप्रीम कोर्ट में, हाई कोर्ट में, पुलिस में सारे जो केसेस थे सारे बंद हुए. एवरी होम एड्रेस इज विद. उससे ज्यादा मैं क्या बोल सकता. आप घर पे जाके डोरबेल मारिए ना, हमने तो कुरियर कर दिया आपको टिकट. फिजिकल टिकट्स थी.
क्यों इतने एलिगेशन थी कि ब्लैक में बेच रहे हो, और क्यों एक्चुअली टिकट 25-30 हज़ार 50 हज़ार में मिल रही थी. स्टार्टिंग में तो 1-1 लाख रुपए तक गई थी.
करेक्ट. कौन से प्लेटफॉर्म में मिल रही है? वो प्लेटफॉर्म इलीगल है इंडिया में. लॉ एनफोर्समेंट बंद करे, वो तो मेरा काम नहीं है. वो कंपनी शुड नॉट एग्जिस्ट बिकॉज सेकेंडरी टिकट मार्केट इज नॉट अलाउड इन इंडिया. So how can those 2 or 3 companies which are foreign entities which have their offices in Estonia are selling tickets in India in the secondary market which are illegal by law? Is my job to go and shut them down?
Then why are people calling you that you did it?
This is where people go hysteria. Social media पर cancellation की तो इकोनॉमी बन गई है कि कैंसिल करो. कोई अच्छा नहीं बोलना है, अच्छा बोलना है तो लोग जिनको मिली तो चुप हैं, उनको तो मिल गई. जो खराब बोलना है आप जाके. अभी सप्लाई डिमांड में मैं क्या कर सकता हूँ? इफ देर आर 1 million people in the queue was transparent एंड टिकटें हमारे पास ओनली 350,000 टिकट्स हैं. एंड अगर 4 लोग खरीद सकते हैं, आप मैथ डिवाइड कर लीजिए. बॉम्बे में अगर अहमदाबाद में 1 लाख टिकट हैं और आपने 4 से डिवाइड किया तो 25,000 लोगों को टिकट मिलेगी. बॉम्बे में हमने जब खुला तो 1.5 लाख टिकट थी. 50,000 2 शो एंड थर्ड शो वाज 50,000. यू डिवाइड दैट बाय 4, राइट? तो इफ यू लुक एट दैट पर शो 12,500 लोग कैन वॉच इट. 36,500 पीपल, individuals could buy the tickets in a country of 1.4 billion people in a city of 20 million population, out of which 35% of the population was from Maharashtra. And if you say 25% were from Bombay, 10% was from rest of outside of Bombay. 65% of the people that came to Bombay to watch the show was outside of Bombay. तो आपका नेबर को अगर टिकट नहीं मिली, आपने कहा तुझे भी नहीं मिली, तुझे भी नहीं मिली. अगर 12,500 लोगों को ही मिली है तो मैं क्या कर सकता हूँ? वो सप्लाई डिमांड है. आई डोंट हैव द एबिलिटी टू डू मोर देन 5 shows. We had 5 shows. We sold the tickets. There was a queue number. What had happened is, where the only fault was that in the first show, when we opened the queue, our systems crashed. And the reason it crashed for 7 minutes, because there was a bot attack. There was a bot attack by secondary ticket sites from all over the world. And वो हमारे पास data है, because we had to prove it to law enforcement and in the courts. And they saw the data. Millions and millions of bots had hit our system to pick up tickets. And जो पहला queue हमने रखा था, वो linear queue रखा था. वो गलती है. जो आपको टोकन, आप वेटिंग रूम में आइए, आपको 1, 2, 3, 4 linear. So the bots could hack into that system, and therefore the bots had taken over the first show. So what we did was that we reset the servers. तो वो 7 मिनट हमको रिपेल करने पड़े. तो उसमें क्या हुआ, जो लोग आए थे तो they had to be reinitialized into the queue number. That was an error, but it was a genuine error and omission. It was not कि वो 7 मिनट में हमने क्रैश करके हमने टिकट ले लिया और किसी और साइट पे बेच दिए. People forget that हम सिर्फ प्रमोटर नहीं है, हमारा टिकटिंग प्लेटफॉर्म भी है. अगर मुझे ये टिकट ज़्यादा में बेचनी होती तो मैं अपने प्लेटफॉर्म पर प्राइस क्यों नहीं बढ़ा देता? मैं 30% किसी और को क्यों दूँ कमीशन? जस्ट थिंक लॉजिक. आप लॉजिक सोचिए. अगर ये टिकट 10,000 की है और मुझे 50,000 में बेचनी है, nobody can stop me. I can sell it on BookMyShow. What we then did, we changed the process. जो next waiting room था, that we called it a waiting room. अगर आप waiting room में आएंगे, We gave you a randomized token ID. वो randomized ticketing ID में we repelled a lot of the bots because they could not. You get a random ID. So we changed the process. And then from when we reopened the second show and the third show in Bombay, then the first show in Ahmedabad and second, everything went off smoothly. We had more than 7 departments after us. We had multiple police cases. It was relentless. We were going to department after department after department after department. We had summons against us. We have spent how many hours and time on giving statements and summons? 9 घंटे interrogation, 11 घंटे. मैं खुद गया हूँ. Not because I was hiding behind something. मैं खुद गया as a leader in the company. हमारी सारी team गई. We proved, we opened our databases, we showed everything.
But 7 departments coming after you, this big fiasco. Do you think there are forces who want you to shut down?
No. I think
this can't be just like normal people trying to do something.
No, see, there was
raise voice. They won't actually curate such kind of stuff.
Look, the support from the central government, the support from the Gujarat government, and the support from the Maharashtra government across law enforcement, across this thing was phenomenal. They saw the value in this. Say, we gave an economic lift of close to 700 crores to the city of Ahmedabad. 700 crores with economic impact.
Over 2 to 3 days.
Yeah, the Honorable Home Minister Harsh Sanghvi, who instituted a IIM Ahmedabad study, came up with this lift that we did, a 700 crore lift to the economy of Ahmedabad. Why wouldn't anybody want this? He himself was very proud of the achievement. He's come up and made statements and
I meant Twitter. Not the government officials. I meant maybe the competitors who did it.
No, I don't think. I look, till I don't have proof of that. I think it's just loose talk to blame anybody. It's uncool, right? I don't think that is the case. I think this was some overzealous people who did not get a ticket. They used which is available to everybody, the might of the law. They went to court. Some department thought that they should investigate because it was so in your face and the media just hyped it up to no extent, which I think has to be measured, right? I think some fault lies there without, understanding the crux of the matter. They just hyped it because it was such a hot potato. Every department felt it was their moral duty and responsibility. Kuch to dal mein kala hai. Why is there so much noise? Yeah. I think that was the only reason where it snowballed.
You said 700 crore economy boost for one city.
Yes.
Over a weekend.
Over a weekend.
Right? How? Kaise hote? 700 crore kaise mein bante?
Employment, hotels, airlines, food, travel, merchandise, spends in the city when people come. We calculated per person what was the average spend when they came into Ahmedabad. Not from the locals. Then there was an expanded view of the people that were outside the city but from Gujarat and people that came from other parts of the country. What was the GST? The GST impact was 72 crores. The overall impact was about 650 or close to 700 crores. The direct impact was about 250 crores, which was a direct impact.
Nice.
So we broke it down into 4 or 5. We got Ernst & Young to do a full report. We released a massive report.
How much does some show like, let's say, Coldplay cost? The biggest stadium you did, Narendra Modi Stadium. Just give me an approximate cost. You can't give me an exact cost.
I don't remember, but I don't think it will be less than 30-40 crores. Can't be less than that.
Just the setup. And then there's the artist fee.
Then artists, because see, what happens is over there, you have permissions. You have security. You have local law enforcement. You've got to pay for local law enforcement because they're coming from different parts of the state. There's cost of goods sold. There's merchandise. There's food wastage. There's security, barricading, infrastructure, setup, transport, travel boarding, lodging, internal transport. Now, in the case of this show, ground cover. Now, there was only enough material which we own to cover one stadium. The second stadium did not have the material. Like, we needed drivables and ground cover. So I called my friends in Israel and some of the material was lying in Georgia. We did a transshipment of half the material from Haifa port in Israel because of the situation there. They were not using it. They're great friends of mine. Half the material came from Israel. Half the material went from Georgia by road and then it went transshipment to Greece, and from Greece it came to Bombay. So 2 shipments have come from there to be able to do the second show. Material has come from Southeast Asia on some materials for the staging and delay towers. Some of the delay towers we own. So it was a global supply chain which had to arrive at a certain point, get cleared, transported internally. So therefore the costs went up. Because see, if it was a show where we could reach in 4 hours to the next city, but we had to have concurrent setups. Because if we were doing 3 shows in Bombay and 2 shows there was a concurrent setup. So costs go up. In some cases, when you're traveling and you're doing, like in the case of Ed Sheeran, we had 2 stage. So we would do 1 stage in Pune. The second stage was being set up in Hyderabad. So the Pune stage would then jump to Chennai. And the Hyderabad stage would then jump to Bangalore. And then that stage would go. But then the stage that we use between Bhutan and Shillong, it could not be a part of this rig. Because the time taken to go to Bhutan and unrig that stage, we could not make the Delhi show. So normally you would have 2 stages which would jump. In this case, we had 3 stages because Shillong and Bhutan were sharing 1 stage because Shillong was the second last show in the run and Bhutan was the first show. So we could share that stage. So there's too many complications. There's, like I said, there's no straight answer.
What's the technical or an artist radar for something like Coldplay show? What do they demand? What do they ask for?
Look, I've known...
Apart from like lights, shows, like, is there something 2 or 3 highlights which makes Coldplay show different?
No, look, it is a very immersive experience, right? And there's a lot of love and connect with the fans. I mean, I just think they're just masters of their art and they're very passionate about what they do. Whether it's the whole touring team, the management, the band itself, they just love what they do. They love the connection with the fans. The music is phenomenal. It's, I think, one of the highest loved and most loved bands in the country. Every song, the fans know there is unlimited demand for an artist like that. But they're just good people. They're just inherently good people. I think the Xylo bands create a beautiful immersive experience.
What is there in Xylo bands?
This is RF technology. And what happens is with the Xylo bands, you can control it with the music and the light to have a shared experience. So you can do a flag of the Indian color. You can have different colors. You can, when people are at a stadium, you can actually write stuff based on people's bands. So rather than putting out your phone and not enjoying that experience and putting up lights, you don't need to do that. And in fact, there are points in the show where I think Chris tells people that put your phones in your pocket, put your hands in the air, right? And then there's fireworks and there's pyros and there's immersive experience to share that music. Otherwise, you can listen to music at home, right? And I think that's why the shows are getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Whether it's the LED screens, whether it's what the band does for the environment, how firm and strongly they believe and stand for it. It connects with a lot of people and it also inspires the youth, right? When you're there and...
but is there something extra that you've heard from someone like Coldplay or Ed or Travis? This is what I need.
They're
very high demanding artists. That's the reason that's so big.
High demand. That's why they are where they are, because they want perfection in everything that they do. Perfection in the sound, the lighting, the rig.
What do they ask extra?
No, every artist has riders. We've had artists in the past who would say, I want Doritos chips on the right side of my bed with this ketchup. And sometimes these riders are a trick because they want you to read everything. And some things are just not possible. And somebody in my artist team goes and said, this is not possible. And they're like, it's okay.
Like what?
Like it could be something really bizarre that I want a bright purple potato wafers. The color of the potato wafer should be bright purple. That's not possible. Maybe it's not possible. So somebody says that this is not possible or something is not available in India if there is an alternative. But it's just to check that you've read the riders, right? The fine print.
How much do they charge? Like, what do you think?
No, it ranges, from...
How much does it charge to get like a Green Day?
Look...
for you, there'll be different costs, I'm sure.
No, it's not just different costs. See, Lollapalooza, we have a very different method of working. We have a artist budget and we work backward. There is the headline fee for the artist on day 1, day 2. and then there is a sub-headline, then there is it's a format, and it makes our job harder because paying any sort of money to get an artist is not what we do. Then it's not a business. Like I said, this is not a passion project, it's a business. And therefore, for Lollapalooza, we have an artist budget which is purely based on number of tickets, brands that participate, costs that are there. And so we have a number. So we do this in partnership with C3, who are our partners. And Charlie Walker is a great mate of mine. And we work very hard. It's the third year now in a row, hugely successful. Turn the corner. We're now prepping for 2026. We will now announce at some point the dates and eventually the lineup. So it's business. It's work where this franchise has to grow over a period of time. Same with Bandland. Same with Sunburn. Sunburn's in its 17th year. And so you have to work backward. A one-off show of a Green Day will be very different from a multi-tour within India because the costs get deferred, right? They are deferred over or shared across 3 markets, 5 markets. If it's a part of a run, then the cost differs.
Give me some number.
Look,
Coldplay, Green Day, anyone.
I don't think it's fair for me to share artist numbers, but I'll tell you the bigger bands. I'll tell you the bigger bands.
Yeah.
The bigger bands can go from $1.5 million to 8 million. Could be the artist fees. Could be anywhere in that range.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have bands which are within the 150K to a million. But the point is, and it also matters whether they want to do it.
Yeah.
Whether it's a versus deal. Whether are you paying a minimum guarantee. Some artists are like, pay me a flat guarantee. I don't care. Some artists are, I'll give you a lower guarantee, but you give me a
rev share.
You give me so you give me a spillover, right? So you do a beyond a certain amount, you do a share. And there are some artists who are saying, I want to play the market, I'll do a pure versus deal.
Yeah.
You don't pay me anything.
Let's co-produce together and
Exactly. So as the trust in the market builds, so India was a flat guarantee market. There was no trust in the market. That is the reason what I was trying to tell you earlier. We jumped into this business out of accident and out of a need and desperation because the acts were unwilling to come to India. We had one act in 10 years, like a big act. Then nobody would come. And the reason was that there was no trust in the market. People were under-declaring tickets, not paying taxes, not sharing the data with the artists, under-declaring revenues, shortchanging the consumer, health and safety issues, food and beverage was shortchanged, and all the money was being taken by the promoter by saying, I don't care about the consumer, I don't care about the government, I don't care about the artists, I only care about myself. And that is the truth. That is why nobody scaled this. All the money was being taken home. Basically, it was daylight robbery. Government also, in its wisdom, for whatever reason, e-tax was very high. Yeah. It was anywhere between 28% to 45%. You can't do business. When the GST was 28%, during the pandemic, that's another thing that I did. I went to the Minister of State for Home and the Finance Minister at that time, and Minister of State for Finance. So she put me on to the Minister of State for Finance, who I know, and I reasoned with him. He was very, very gracious. He called his GST department. He's saying, Ashish, you'll have to go through the process. We went through 4 cycles of submissions, and the government dropped the GST. And it was an advantage which went to the whole industry. It wasn't for me. I was obviously a beneficiary. But they saw the wisdom and they dropped the GST from 28% to 18%.
Wow.
And 0 up to 499. We are still working with them to say, look, if this has to scale, we still need nationalization and it has to be done in a staggered manner. So I think infrastructure, public infrastructure spending, as you've seen, there has to be more infrastructure. We still struggle in India with venues, stadiums, arenas, staging, safety, security, ingress, egress, getting to a stadium, parking, metro lines or train stations going under the stadium or an arena, having enough of them. The biggest challenge for artist growth, Indian artist growth, has been we don't have venues which are 50% rooms, 100% room, a 250% room, going to 500, then going to an auditorium which is 1500, then 2,500, an arena of 5,000 to 8,000, arenas of 15,000 to 20,000, and then stadiums and festival grounds. We have bars and restaurants where you can play at a small place and nobody cares and everybody's doing cover versions, or straight away there's a stadium on open field. You don't have anything in between.
There's no career path.
Any global artist on the live side went through this career path globally. And there was a culture of going out that was built where you could go and watch. We don't have that. And therefore, with us, with festivals, that becomes extremely important for discovery of new music. When you come to Lollapalooza and you're seeing 40 artists, you may come for a Green Day or a Sting or Imagine Dragons. You may come for a Shawn Mendes, but you're discovering an Aurora. You're discovering Jonita Gandhi. You're discovering Niladri Kumar, who's one of the greatest electric sitar players, and he did a live set with 5,000 people standing to watch him, right? And kids standing to watch him. And so with 20, 25 Indian artists, the Hanuman Kind set was phenomenal, right? So many fresh people who had not seen Hanuman Kind, may have heard his music, but not seen his entire set were there. So I think festivals are a great way of giving Indian artists who are supremely talented but never got the big stage or did not get a large enough audience for them to try out or experiment or get initialized with their music. Festivals do that.
Tell me the concert start कैसे होता है? Like how do you, who says कि okay Coldplay India करेंगे? Like कहाँ से idea आता है कि Coldplay अब India आएगा, India में viable है भी कि नहीं है? All of this how do you decide?
नहीं, इसमें
कि Coldplay decide करता है और Live Nation decide करता है?
नहीं, ये सीधा आंसर नहीं है. We work with other partners as well. ये सीधा आंसर नहीं है. First of all, these tours are expensive. तो अगर कोई tour ready है market में and they are performing in North America, then they're doing Europe, then they're doing Australia, New Zealand, then they're coming to Asia. तो हमारा जो cycle है has to be between October and May at best. May भी बहुत गर्म हो जाता है. तो ये cycle में either you are putting in shows with South Africa, Middle East, or you're doing something with Southeast Asia, या Australia के बाद, because one-off करने में अगर बड़ी band है, one-off करने में there's no, you can't make money. Neither band can make money, neither you can make money. It's hard.
Multiple tours, multiple.
It has to be multiple sites. So it's a part of a tour, a global tour. So that is number one. Number two, then the artist needs to connect with his fans. He or she needs to believe that India is an important market. Now here is where, or we are looking for shows between October, actively between October and May. And there's a bunch of things that goes into the analysis. इसमें हम क्या देखते हैं, आपका Spotify या सावन पर, YouTube Music पे, what is your stats? Then we look at other professional sites which we subscribe to. Then there's an art. There's a lot of science which will tell you this. But you look at trend. We have people within our company which understand music and our musicians and our curators. So there's a whole bunch of people that are constantly analyzing what are the path-making trends. जब हमने सूरज, who's Hanuman Kind, Lollapalooza 1 में किया and 3 में किया, he also played Coachella. Diljit did a collab with me with Ed Sheeran, he also played Coachella. AP did Lola 1, he also played Coachella. So we, are good curators, we are good judge of what we do. Jonita played main stage for us. For Ed, we had opening acts from Mali, from Dot, Kayan, Arman, obviously. So we worked with a bunch of Indian artists, and only the glory goes to the Western acts where we did 40 to 50 shows. We did 900, we sold tickets for 900 shows in India. Indian artists. वो कोई बात ही नहीं करता. 900 shows in a year. तो we are constantly looking कि किसी का career developer करना है, and are we doing bigger shows? What does the artist want? जब Ed had come the first time, Turf Club में हमने 12,000 लोगों के लिए low ticket price किया था show. Many years later he came back. Then हमने Geo Garden में 11,000 लोगों के लिए एक show किया था, but much higher ticket price. Cut to March last year, 55,000 लोग in the round at the Turf Club. 55,000, so 12,000 very low ticket price, 11,000 very high ticket price, 55,000 high ticket price. And then we did a show of 8 cities with Ed. Between when Coldplay happened, just after that. Bhutan, then हमने Pune किया, Hyderabad, Chennai, Bangalore, Shillong, Delhi. And the artist wanted it. Ed wanted to go deep in the country. He loves the country. And he said, "Yeah, I want to do an end stage format. You all produce it, and I want to go deep." It was his aspiration. We analyzed with cities. How was it going to be easy, hard? What was possible? What wasn't possible? What rigs and stages can go? How do we share rigs between Northeast and Calcutta and Shillong and Bhutan? Because the borders are close. How do the trucks go to those borders? Then from there, the head of the truck, how do customs get cleared? How will the head of the truck change? Because the drivers have to be different for Bhutan. Because they know how to drive on those. So it was a complicated, it was a logistic. Even doing the shows between Ahmedabad and Bombay, we had 2 rigs and 2 stages and 2 coverings, but a lot of the rig was common. How do you get to move 39 to 40 trucks between Bombay and Ahmedabad within a very short period of time? Because our Bombay ka show Tuesday ko khatam hua. And next show in Ahmedabad was Saturday. There wasn't enough time. So we did 2 dry runs with GPS tracked trucks with that much weight. Because truck जब खाली होती है 40 फुट का कंटेनर जिसमें अगर कुछ टनेज नहीं है, it moves faster. फिर हमने उतना टन मटेरियल डाल के 2 रन किए between Bombay and Ahmedabad. महाराष्ट्र पुलिस एंड गुजरात पुलिस gave me a corridor. एक प्लेस है बिटवीन महाराष्ट्र एंड गुजरात जहाँ पर रोड वर्क चल रहा है. तो वहाँ पर नॉर्मली व्हाट शुड टेक यू, गाड़ी तो जल्दी जाती है बट ट्रक विल टेक यू 12 से 16 घंटे 18 घंटे was taking 36 to 40 hours because वहाँ पर एक ट्रैफिक जैम हो जाता है. So they created a blue corridor for us.
Wow.
Where we took that ton of truck and we did a GPS tracking on alternative routes on how to get there within 18 hours. And then this movement happened where Bombay ka show Tuesday ko khatam hua. So people who came for Saturday and Sunday would have seen a very different exit plan than Tuesday. Because Tuesday ko we had to tear down the stage and tear down the equipment very quickly, work within 4 hours, load the trucks and move them and get them within 16 to 18 hours to Ahmedabad so that the load-in can happen in Ahmedabad. So it was a logistical nightmare. So it's quite interesting when you break down the challenges and problems on how do you put up the show. So we have to decide on movement of trucks, equipment, cost, artists, pricing, their pricing, their ability and their need and want to play, stats, pricing to the end consumer. In some cases, brands, is it acceptable to brands or no? So there's a lot of math and decisioning that goes in, which goes into a pot. And then it's an art at the end of the day. To say ki ye karna hai. But none of this, like in the past, which you would have seen, is based on personal preferences. This is a business. It's not because I like an artist, I want that artist. But of course, I would love it. But if I like it, I'll go somewhere else and watch the show. पैसे नहीं कमाने हैं उस पर. It's not my passion project. It's not a party that I'm throwing for myself to charge people money. It's a business. And it's meant to be value accretive to my fans and the customers. And if they see value in it, then we'll do it. If we can make money and there is this thing, we'll do it. It's not something that I want.
True.
All this time it's been, I want this artist because it's my personal need and preference. That is what was happening till we jumped into this business. We got into this business by chance in 2018. Till then, we were just a platform. There were various reasons why grudgingly we got into this business in 2018. And then we've only thought about things differently. And that's why it's scaled up. We're creating a new industry. It didn't exist, right? It was a mom and pop industry. Because most of the companies were doing B2B shows. They were doing launch conferences. They were doing weddings. We don't do weddings. We don't do launch conferences. We don't do B2B. Anything which touches an end consumer point, which is ticketed, is what BookMyShow does.
I'll tell you one of the first things I heard about you from somebody, and I learned that lesson and it was really good. I don't even know if you've said that.
Yeah.
It's just like somebody said something about you and I felt it was good. And in my head, I keep giving you credits for it. It's a cockroach theory.
Yeah.
Have you said it?
Yeah.
Oh, you said it. Okay.
Many times.
Perfect then. So you say that you're a cockroach.
Yeah.
What do you mean by that? Tell me in your words. I love it when I heard it for the first time. I want everybody to hear it from you.
So, you know, when I founded BookMyShow along with my co-founders, and for the first 10 years of our journey as BookMyShow's journey, by the way, the name of the company is Big Tree Entertainment, and that hasn't changed, right? In 25, we're in the 26th year. And so, for the first 10 years, we were told, India will go the US way. All right. Copy everything from the US and India will go the US way. Then came a second wave of entrepreneurs, and we were told for the next 10 years, or at least what you heard is that India will go the China way. And I kept telling people India will go the India way, right? There's no other way. You have to be proud of who you are, who your consumers are. The moment you try to emulate what's happening in the US or China or anywhere else, you're setting yourself up for failure. You can learn from some lessons. You can't say that we are going that way. And in those conversations, the one thing that always came about is, and I find certain things about, and I was born and raised in this country. I was born and raised in Bombay, right? Okay. In a 500-meter radius. Like I made the big move 10 years ago, 500 meters down the road. So it's not like I'm looking at an outside view or a Western view. But the one thing that really pisses me off in India, it's disappointing, is that we don't celebrate entrepreneurs for entrepreneurship. We celebrate celebrities. We celebrate being famous. We celebrate how much money do you have, which car you come in, what watch you have. It was in context to this unicorn question that kept coming up, that are you unicorn? And then one day मैंने बोल दिया यार भाई unicorn क्या होता है? They say unicorn. So I said unicorn मतलब घोड़ा जिसके ऊपर एक सूंड है, घोड़ा जिसके ऊपर एक हॉर्न है. They say हाँ सर. I said कभी देखा है आपने उसको? Have you seen a horse with a horn? बोलता है नहीं सर. I said वो तो mythical animal है, मतलब वो तो है ही नहीं, it's not real. तो आप क्या पूछ रहे हैं मुझे? तो इसे नहीं, आप कुछ तो बोलिए, आप कुछ तो, मतलब आप यूनिकॉर्न नहीं है तो क्या है? I said कॉकरोच हूँ. So he said what do you mean by cockroach? So I said हम survive करते हैं. अभी 25 साल से we went through the .com bust in 2000. We went through the .com bust. We went from 150 people down to 6, including an office helper. And then we went through the global financial crisis in 2008. And then the biggest one for us was the pandemic. Yeah. Because we were wiped out, right? We had zero revenues, zero anything. And so somebody said, Acha, ab samajh aaya, what do you mean by cockroach? I said, we are survivors. We'll survive a nuclear blast. We'll open a microwave oven, you'll find us there. We'll survive, we'll be there, even till the end of the world. So in context to this unicorn question, I was said. Then I think over the years, somebody caught on to this, right? And they said, I know you're going to say cockroach. Okay, give us another animal that you... It was like a question for a zoo. So I said, we are mongrels. So he's saying, what do you mean by mongrels? I said, look, yaar, we are very appreciative if somebody comes and pets you. And we are very gracious when somebody gives you something. But we are survivors. It's a dog fight out there. It's a dog-eat-dog world out there. Some days you've got to run and hide if there's a pack of dogs, and some days it's a street fight. You've got to fight. Yeah. So we are dogs.
मुझे ना cockroach theory वाला बहुत interesting लगा, because I think at least me, when I look back in my journey, और जितने मेरे friends हैं, जितने entrepreneurs, सबको देखता हूँ, I think majority of us entrepreneurs are cockroaches only. Yeah. जिन्होंने भी survive किया, like cockroaches just bang on. Yeah. कि हम कोई यूनिकॉर्न नहीं, हम कुछ नहीं, हम कॉकरोचेस, हम सर्वाइव करते हैं. और सर्वाइव करते करते ही फ्रॉम अ कॉकरोच यू एंड अप बिकमिंग लाइक अ vulture or eagle or whatever you want to make.
So Raj, you know, one of the things about, while we're on the subject of cockroach, I think few lessons to draw from it are that keep your ego in check. You know, don't think you're bigger than anything, but don't make out to be more than who you are and what you are. And the moment you keep your ego in check, you tend to learn a lot. You respect consumers. You look at things around you on what more can you build? What are the other things? And I think more than survival, I'll tell you, if you contextualize this in the parlance of business or entrepreneurship, I think companies that do well over a period of time are the ones that manage their down cycle or downturn better. And that's the piece about the survival piece. So it's not just about survival for eternity, but it's about survival and managing that survival in the downturn. Look, as a sailor, I keep saying that when you've got high winds, it equalizes all sailors. You can't tell the difference between skill, because in high wind sailing, it's very easy. It's the low wind sailing that makes true sailors. जब wind कम हो जाती है, adjusting the sails and doing the right things, because you can't moan and complain about the sun the tide, the wind, anything.
Yeah.
All you can do as a sailor is adjust your sails. And so again, it's a very inward-looking theory rather than complaining and looking outward. So as sailors, you're always looking inward, number one. And secondly, it's about low wind sailing. And that's the analogy with cockroaches as well, that if you can survive or flourish or get better ahead or get better during the downturn, when the winds are high and when you have tailwinds, everybody does well. उसमें तो कोई बात ही नहीं है. That is easy.
So what's the origin of Book My Show? आया कहाँ से? Start कैसे हुआ? Idea कैसे आया कि मैं टिकट बेचूंगा ऑनलाइन? Like how did it come?
Smoking and drinking.
क्या?
So I don't smoke.
हाँ.
But मैं काम करता था एक एडवर्टाइजिंग एजेंसी में. तो उस टाइम आपने वो सीरीज देखी होगी मैडमैन ऑन नेटफ्लिक्स. इंडिया वाज एग्जैक्टली लाइक मैडमैन.
लॉन्ड्री पड़े.
हाँ, एडवर्टाइजिंग में सब स्मोक करते थे. कार्पेट होता था, विंडो एसी, सब स्मोक कर रहे हैं. तो मेरे आगे जो बैठा है, मेरे पीछे बैठा है, लेफ्ट में राइट में सब स्मोक कर रहे हैं. सो इट वाज अ वेरी, आई यूज्ड टू लव माय जॉब. इट वाज अ वेरी अनहेल्दी एनवायरनमेंट टू बी इन, कांस्टेंट स्मोक अराउंड. तो मैंने कहा यार मुझे एक ब्रेक लेना है. 6,000 रुपये सैलरी थी एंड आई डिड द बेस्ट एज अ फ्लंकी एज अ मैनेजमेंट ट्रेनी. सो I got a massive raise, and I think, no, 8,000 थी salary. And I got a massive raise. My next year's salary was 8,500. So 500 रुपए का bump. My best friend today, my co-founder, is a brother to me. He was working in South Africa. He was actually in Botswana. So we did our MBA together. He went off. He said, "वहाँ पर, I'll try and take a shot at things there." So I said, यार मैं आ रहा हूँ मिलने. I'm coming over to see you. And वहाँ पहुँच के I heard a radio commercial trying to sell rugby tickets online. And this was an alien concept to me. India में pigeon hole होते थे ticket बेचने के लिए. You went to a movie theater, timing होती थी that your box office is open from this time, then in the afternoon there was a lunch break and then it would open again. And there used to be there used to be advance and current counters. I don't know how old you are. Maybe you don't remember this. You're too young. You look young. So I'm 51. तो उसमें क्या होता था? There was a advance and there used to be a current counter. So you have to choose कि advance की ticket लेनी है कि current लेना है. And within that there were 3 pigeonholes. One used to be जैसे रेलवे की होती है ना वो pigeonhole. उसमें it used to be stall, balcony and dress circle. तो you had to choose कि I'm standing in advance or current line. And then you have to choose कि कौन से काउंटर पर you want to go to which section. And if the guy was sold out, तो फिर आप लाइन में वापस पीछे जाओ. And you used to sit on the steps waiting for the box office to open up. And more often than none, the guy at the box office was hand in glove with a पान की दुकान. Across all movie theaters in the country. Across all stadiums in the country. Cricket stadiums, everywhere. And the black tickets were being sold
at a pawn shop.
At the pawn shop. So the guy is saying it's sold out. He knows the demand of the number of people outside. He said it's gone and it's available there. So this was the scene. So for me to listen to this radio commercial trying to sell rugby tickets online and saying कि आप online खरीदो, you'll get your tickets in advance. आप आइए stadium में, आपको 10% discount मिलेगा food and beverage पर and merchandise पर discount मिलेगा. They are incentivizing you to buy advance tickets online. मैंने कहा यार ये तो magical है. So anyways, I thought through that and it was in my mind and I kept mulling over the idea through the trip. So this was under a big tree at Storms River Valley between Joburg and Cape Town. इसीलिए आज भी नाम कंपनी का Big Tree Entertainment Private Limited है. That's the name of the company. That's the genesis. So it has its roots in South Africa. वहाँ से जब हम आए, we reached a place called Stellenbosch, which is near Cape Town. तो youth hostel में रहे हुए थे. तो वहाँ पर it's the wine growing region of South Africa. जैसे हमारा नासिक वैली है, नापा वैली इन US. तो ये it's the, you can go for wine tasting and all. हमारे कहाँ वाइन टेस्टिंग वेस्टिंग आता था उस टाइम. I was 24 years old यार. तो बोला चलो but this is something to do. तो what they do for this wine tasting is कि आप 10 rands पे करिए, local South African currency. And they give you 5 short glasses of wine, different wine. And in some vineyards, it's free. तो most people, हमको तो ये सब culture का तो कुछ पता ही नहीं था. People used to take wine, they'll smell it. and then they take it through the palate and the teeth, and then what it does to the palate, the burst of flavors, and then you spit it out. I come from a country of scarcity that time, 99.
Yeah.
I'm a Sindhi yaar. Anything free in life is valuable yaar. Free में कोई कुछ भी दे दो, आप ये कॉफी कप ले लो, मैं घर ले जाऊंगा. तो फ्री में वाइन दे रहे हैं. मैं सोच रहा हूँ ये लोग स्पिट क्यों कर रहे हैं यार? इतनी अच्छी खासी वाइन, इतनी महंगी वाइन. तो 11 बजे सवेरे से 3 बजे दोपहर तक हमने 5 विनयार्ड्स में वाइन टेस्टिंग की. तो 5 ग्लासेस इंटू 5, 25 ग्लासेस वाइन के पी लिए. माई हेड वॉज स्पिनिंग. पता नहीं उस माहौल में हुआ क्या. नेक्स्ट मॉर्निंग आई वोक अप एट द यूथ हॉस्टल इन अ बंक बेड जो मेरा ही नहीं था. मैं किसी और के बिस्तरे पर सोया हूँ. वो पता ही नहीं मैं वेयर वाज आई. इन द मीन टाइम मैंने अपने बॉस को मैसेज भेज दिया मैं क्विट कर. So that's how big tree of BookMyShow started. It started with smoking and it ended with drinking. And बोला I'm coming back. Came back without a job. Business plan बनाया. And facts sheet भेजी. So facts that time I sent was a 1.5 pager. Which was almost like an elevator pitch to Chase Capital Partners, JP Morgan. And the guy who invested in me, Bharat Keval Ramani and Anil Ahuja, आज तक मेरे दोस्त हैं.
Were you from an affluent family?
No, I was from a middle class family, born and raised in Bombay. But we as kids were never made to feel middle class in the sense that I'm a kid of immigrant parents. Both my mom and dad came from Pakistan. When the 1947 partition happened, we were never made to believe or feel we were secondary to anything. So when you ask me, were we well-to-do? We were in our heads and in our outlook to life. And in hard cash, we were not.
Then why do you think Bharat invested in you, your first investor? जब कोई background नहीं था, कोई ट्रैक रिकॉर्ड नहीं था, प्रीवियस ट्रैक रिकॉर्ड नहीं था, कंपनी में कोई ट्रैक्शन नहीं था, जैसे पेपर में था एक हफ्ते पहले. यू वर नॉट इवन फ्रॉम लाइक अ बिग शॉट कंपनी और अ जॉब पोजीशन कि आप किसी कंपनी के वीपी थे तो बहुत इजीली आपको मिल जाएंगे पैसे. Why would somebody give 2 crores? And that time it was not even. Today I can still think कि somebody can raise 2 crores. It's much easier today. That time 2 crore देना was an alien concept.
Raj, I'll tell you something. आज I think people have lost their way on analysis paralysis, over analysis paralysis. Even I'm an angel investor. I have more than 35 investments, and you get some right, you get some wrong. And I think that's what I guess investing was all about and should be, is that you look at the market opportunity very quickly. You should have that. It's a science, but it's also an art, right? It's intuition. You look at a market opportunity. You look at the idea. And the most important thing is you look at the guy in front of you. You look him in the eye. You look at the first handshake. And you look at, can you do business with the guy? Are they going to go long? Does he, उसके पास conviction है? Moral values, integrity है? पैसा लेके भागेगा नहीं? जब मेरे पास लोग आते हैं बोलते हैं I'm a serial entrepreneur, I'm on my 5th venture, मेरी बत्ती गुल हो जाती है. I shut down. कि अगर यार आप 5वें इन्वेस्टमेंट में हैं तो your job is not to build something great or something big. Then you should be an investor. Then your job is to exit. अगर आपका जॉब एग्जिट ही है तो आप इन्वेस्टर बन जाओ ना. उसके लिए आपके पास दूसरी अपॉर्चुनिटीज हैं. एंटरप्रेन्योर्स जॉब इज टू बिल्ड. आप बताइए, गूगल का बंदा बोलता है मैं एग्जिट कर रहा हूँ, एप्पल बोलता है एग्जिट कर रहा हूँ, माइक्रोसॉफ्ट बोलता है एग्जिट कर रहा हूँ. वो अपना धंधा बना रहा है ना. लुक एट द बिग कंग्लोमरेट्स इन इंडिया, रिलायंस, टाटास. जो उनको बनाना है वो कंपनी में बनाते हैं. एंड दे कीप स्केलिंग, बिल्डिंग एंड डूइंग थिंग्स विद इन दैट ऑर्गेनाइजेशन. दे आर नॉट सेइंग आई एम एग्जिटिंग. तो ये एग्जिट का जो माहौल बन गया है, दैट आई एम अ 5th टाइम एंटरप्रेन्योर, आई एम अ 7th टाइम एंटरप्रेन्योर. मैंने 7 कंपनियां बनाई हैं. मतलब 7 लोगों को उल्लू बना के आप भागे हो. मतलब इन सम वे दैट्स व्हाट यू आर ट्राइंग टू टेल मी.
नॉट एग्जैक्टली
यार. आप फिर इन्वेस्टर बनो ना. इफ आप 1 साल में कुछ बना के किसी और के बेच को भागोगे, दैट मीन्स व्हाट यू आर ट्राइंग टू डू इज try and maximize that value for yourself and exit so that you can move to the next venture. If you have the conviction on building something and build within, like BookMyShow is morphed. Today you may say BookMyShow started as a movie ticketing platform. Today we are not. We then moved to a marketplace for non-movies. Today we are one of the largest concert promoters in Asia and producers. Today most of our time goes into hardware, into infrastructure. We will eventually become a real estate company at some point with venues. And we are a media house in some sense where advertising has become a very important part, and a content creation house is the area that we are moving towards. But that's within the realms of the money that you took from your early investors, creating value and believing in something, right? And you build all of this within that framework. अगर मैं बोल के मैं ticketing company बेच के फिर दूसरी बनाऊंगा, फिर तीसरी बनाऊंगा, फिर चौथी बनाऊंगा, by now I should be on my 7th venture.
True, you have your own views, but I think I'm also of the same mindset that you should build something for a very long term, because I also think in 10, 20, 30 years framework, even though I'm very young, but I've always done that. I've done even like all the businesses that I've done like 4-5 businesses, but all of it is under one company's umbrella.
Correct.
Something that you also said. Like I started with something, but then I saw opportunity to make it bigger, but inside the same company.
कुछ meaningful 2 साल 3 साल में नहीं बनता है.
True.
Inflection point इंडिया में 7 या 9 साल के पहले inflection point आ ही नहीं सकता. Because हमारा consumer base shallow है, अभी grow हो रहा है. हमारा infrastructure problems हैं. आप अगर मुझे बोलते हो कि 2 साल में अगर है ना, वो तो लॉटरी लगती है, फिर आप सट्टा में करो. 2 साल में अगर कुछ भी बनता है ना, तो देन आप मुझे वो मैजिक पोशन बता दो. वो आप किसी को उल्लू बना सकते हो 2 साल में. आप धंधा नहीं बना सकते 2 साल में. इन दिस कंट्री, बाय द टाइम यू अंडरस्टैंड, बॉस, it's a hard place to do business, but it's also rewarding because it's transformational. No. It's new. You're creating a market, and that's why nobody else can do it. Those are your moats. But if you can create something in 2 years, please tell me the magic potion. You may get an exit. You may get a lot of money, but that is by making an idiot out of somebody. That's no problem. 7 साल के पहले बन ही नहीं सकता कुछ. एंड ये डाउनटर्न, जब तक आप 1-2 साइकिल नहीं करोगे, यू आर नॉट अ स्ट्रॉन्ग एनफ एंटरप्रेन्योर. आपने कितनी साइकिल देखी है? अगर आपने साइकिल देखी है जब टेलविंड्स अच्छे थे और पैसा, वो बबल जब था, बबल में आपने बिजनेस बनाया, वही एंटरप्रेन्योर को आप बोलिए नेक्स्ट उसने अगर कुछ बनाया होता है एंड जब डाउनटर्न था उसने कुछ सक्सीड किया, आपके पास वो स्किल सेट ही नहीं है ना. तो even with tennis, even with sailing, with anything, you have to have all skill sets. So you've not created that skill set.
No, I agree with that. I would come from same mindset which I'm saying, because I believe in the
a lot of guys may not agree.
A lot of people won't agree because a lot of people who I know have also made shit tons of money just by doing something for 2 years and then changing.
But is that the correct barometer is what I'm saying? As an entrepreneur, look, I have a different philosophy. There's no wrong and right answers. But I just feel that you're best suited to be an investor.
Fair.
And there are great, and you add value by doing that as well. You have a great skill. If you can identify 7-8 hits like this, which exit and do well and create shareholder value, and you're a great investor. Warren Buffett does that for a living. And
don't call yourself an entrepreneur. That's what you're saying.
They call yourself an investor. Call yourself an entrepreneur, entrepreneur, whatever. But you're not building for the long run. I mean, you tell me today.
You don't like those entrepreneurs. You wouldn't invest in
them. No, I do not like. That's a very harsh word. I just wouldn't invest in somebody who came, like I said, if somebody came and said, मैंने 5 कंपनियां बनाई हैं, 6ठे में पैसा डालो, मैं बोलता, thank you very much. I'll watch you from the sideline. I mean, it's not something that I know the guy will scoot. And I've had a few of those where I did put money in somebody and then they were very easy to shut down. They were very quick to shut down. Like when it got hard, and he said, I ran out. He didn't try something else. He didn't stick with it. He didn't put his own money. He said, yeah, it's not working. I'm shutting down. I'm going to do something else.
And you said, India mein entrepreneurs are not celebrated for entrepreneurship. What do you mean by that?
They're celebrated for the value. He's 5 billion, he's 7 billion, he's 10 billion. He has a Ferrari, he has a Lamborghini. That's his lifestyle. That's the watch that he wears. This is who he's dating. This is where he hangs out. And I'm saying, look at it for the work that I think some of the finest entrepreneurs India have seen. I mean, I don't know if people give those guys enough credit, but I think are fantastic. Is Make My Trip. Look at Deep Kalra and Rajesh Mago. Conducted themselves phenomenally, no controversy, built hard, built it over a period of time, took the company public. Last 5 or 7 years, they were slammed. The stock price was flat. It's now gone up 3x, 4x in the last 7. Isn't they there, right? For 25, 27 years. He's somebody who comes top of my mind. He's somebody also I have a friendship with. But I'm saying guys like that, right? You need to, where are they in the news cycle? Where are they in the media?
You're talking about all these artists, right? And you said something specific which I have to ask you because it's like elephant in the room. Trends.
Yeah.
You said you keep analyzing trends.
Yeah.
What trend do you see? Which are the kind of artists which India wants to consume now? And who are the global giants which you see in foreseeable future to come in India and start playing?
Let's start with international music, right? Country music has had a big resurgence. And I think while the numbers are not that big in India yet, but they're getting mainstream. Teddy Swims is a country music star, or he's got his leanings there. Post Malone, which was a hip hop artist, has released a country music album. Taylor Swift's music is steeped in country music, right? 4 chords. Yeah. But she's a pop artist, one of the biggest in the world. So I think there's a big trend there, and it flows in different ways. If you see Shania Twain's documentary on how she made it mainstream, etc. I think hip hop is huge with the younger audience. Look at our sales for Travis Scott, right? Gone. In 20 minutes, we sold 110,000 tickets. It's that cohort which is 10 years to 30 years, that range. It's that cohort where they listen to that music. I think in the last 5 years, and especially through the pandemic, there's been a massive resurgence of independent musicians. Yeah. People that are making music, they're writing their expression, they're composing their music, writing what they feel strongly about. It's not somebody else's version of it should fit within my film or whatever. It is my music, and I fiercely guard my emotions, my thoughts, and I'm writing it because I feel like. And you're seeing that pick up. And there's platforms like ours where we are doing so many shows. We have college festivals. We do about 400 college festivals a year through our business Tribe Vibe. So we've got Tribe Vibe, we've got Sunburn, and then we've got our main BMS Live touring business. So वहाँ पर क्या हो रहा है कि there's a big resurgence आ रहा है where independent musicians can drop a song, they get popular and famous. Look at Hanuman Kind, right? Big Dog. You look at
Anuv or King or all of these things.
Just look at the amount of music that's coming out. It's phenomenal.
Is there any Indian artist who you have seen reinventing themselves as per their audience? Or is it too new for us?
Diljit, look at Diljit. Look at AP. I think...
the same kind of music, no?
No, but AP's come up with 2 new songs. They're very wildly different from his earlier songs.
Like
They're 2 new songs. They're very different. If you saw Diljit's earlier work to what he came up with, I think Jonita has come up with a lot. Kayan, a very young artist, but she's a DJ and she sings live. Arman, his music is evergreen and classical. I think he's great. I really like Dot. She did a set for us in Bandland, which was massive. Very young artist, but she had a big set. Kamakshi Khanna. She did, she did trumpets and the saxophone, and there was a lot of brass on stage. I was very impressed. I just met her the other day, and she's got some new concepts. She's a thinking artist. There are many thinking artists who constantly want to push the envelope on new stuff, and then you get inspired to do stuff with them. You want to make it better. You want to make it bigger. You want to introduce them to other artists to do collabs. You want to give them a bigger stage. You want to slot them in the right places so that audiences see them. Who's the next artist after them so that they get exposure? And it's that collaboration that we are constantly working on. Look at Hanuman Kind. I mean, he's been... I love the guy.
Yeah. You've mentioned it 20 times. Why do you like him?
Even Jonita. And I'll tell you why specifically. They're investing on the live touring side. They put in a lot of money in Lola. Both these artists. Whatever we paid them, we paid them. They put in more money than what we paid them. They put in 2x more than what we paid them into their show. So if you saw those flags, the design, the stage design, his clothes, the props on the stage, the flags in the audience, it costs money. There's ideation, there's time, effort, energy, and thought that has gone in from the artist side to be able to say, I want to put out something out there which will be big, meaningful, and can carry me forward. That's why I respect them. Jo did the same. She put money out of her own pocket to be able to put on that big show there, right? And I think that's a lesson for a lot of artists in India to learn that when they see these global artists putting in, whether it's Coldplay, whether it's Ed Sheeran, whether it's Green Day, whether it's any of these global acts, today you're seeing the success of their large shows, and they have put in a lot of blood, sweat, and tears and money of them out of their own pocket. Each of these shows are not cheap.
Yeah.
Somebody's funding that show to take it to that level, and then it becomes famous. It's a multi-million-dollar investment. And I'm not saying everything has to be a multi-million-dollar. You do it within your own framework and write and work hard to do that. But don't think that it's going to come easy, that you put on a 4-piece band and go up. You've got to invest something in it for it to be, it's a show.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it could be a studio. You can listen to it in your car on the speakers.
True.
Right? There has to be something for the audience which is different. Whether it's your stage design, whether it's the backdrop, whether it's the LEDs or the IMAX, whether it's your stage coming forward. What are you doing different to be able to put on a show for your audience which is reflective of you and your personality, your album, your song, and your music? And it's live, right? And what is the interactability? What are you doing by pulling in people? When Billy gave his guitar to this guy, my team tracked him down. He's from Jamshedpur. This was not a plant. It was real. He's been one of the biggest punk rock fans since he was growing up. He lives in Jamshedpur. His brother lives in Bombay. And he was there with his brother watching the show. He got pulled up. That guitar is a custom guitar. Billy has only given that guitar out once before in his life. And this was the end of this tour before he went and they played in Chicago, where he could get the custom made guitar made again. This guitar is $50,000. And he just gave it to this kid. And he said, it's yours. Now those moments get captured for life. It's a $50,000 guitar, which was given away. It's not one of your $1,000 guitar. Yeah. And so it's a special moment. Yeah. And it wasn't a plant. It wasn't fake. It was organic. There was a kid, he said...
And the guy played it well, by the way.
He's phenomenal. He sent us another video of him playing another song, and I have that video. Just outstanding.
But what's your business model today? Where the maximum revenue comes from? So because movie business is almost negligible.
Oh, you're talking about the whole business or a festival?
Whole business. Like BookMyShow as an entity.
So look, let me try and answer that till about 10 years ago. Maybe 15 years, 10 to 12 years ago. 95% of our revenue came from the movies business.
Yeah.
And it was 90% of that was concentrated in the top 8 cities. Today, 50% of our business on the movie side comes from the top 26 cities, and 50% of our growth is coming from rest of India. So we're present in 700 cities and towns. So that's a big data point and a change that we're seeing. Like I told you about the Brazil of India and the changes that we're seeing. So that's one data point. The other is that our marketplace business for non-movie events, we had about 35,000 plus events that were listed on the platform in the last fiscal. And that coupled with our live events business today gives us about 40% of the revenue. And now movies is down to 60%. I mean, it's not down, but as a mix of our business. And then there's the media side of the business, which is highly profitable, which is advertising, because it goes straight to the bottom line.
What is advertising?
Advertising on the app. If you see, so one is sponsors and brand partners that come in, which goes into the P&L of the live side while putting up an event. And then there's advertising that you can come on the BookMyShow platform, which we allow and work with advertisers because of the high caliber and quality of audience that BookMyShow has.
Tell me, what was the toughest part of your life?
Going through the pandemic, on letting the number of people that we let go, getting the business back on track, not knowing a light at the end of the tunnel. Every time you saw a light at the end of the tunnel, there was another train coming towards you. Not being in control of the situation because India was shutting down, opening. So I think that was a very, very hard phase. It wasn't easy.
Because all that you've said, it reminds me of a personal theory that I believe in. It's called the blind spot. I believe all human beings, everybody has blind spots.
Right.
The person who has lesser blind spots usually tend to win in life. And by blind spot, I mean, you don't know what's going to happen.
Right.
Maybe the weather can be changed, the country's reality can be changed, the market, the way it's changing, people would change, the decision you made, money, whatever. XYZ things which you don't know, are unknown and know-how. And over the years in your journey of going from zero to now becoming such a successful story, you learned certain things which no more are blind spots.
Right.
What can be that blind spot for you, which was a blind spot before and now it is no more? You have learned something and that is why you're winning.
I met a monk who's a performance coach who I really love. He lives in Chiang Mai. He made me realize things about energy and energy management. and a lot about myself. So one thing that I've figured, and I figured very late in my life, that I'm ADD, ADHD, dyslexic, and dyscalculus. I didn't know this. So I struggled through life not knowing this, which was great, right? So I didn't have this at the back of my head. But what I've also discovered through observation of other people who've given me this feedback, that you have a sixth sense, right? And I may have probably developed this since I was born as a kid, because I don't have these skills. I don't have these analytical skills. I mix numbers, I mix letters, I mix words, I replace them. ADD, ADHD is no fun, but I didn't know what it meant till I discovered a lot.
What do you think? Where is the next big opportunity for someone who is probably in their 20s, still in one of these advertising agencies, working right now the way you used to work on a fixed salary of 20, 30, 50,000 rupees? Where do you see the next opportunity?
Yeah, look, this country, what we did over the last 25 years or what our parents did in the last 75 years, the rate of change is faster than change itself today. What you will see in the next 5 years is what we saw in our lifetime in the last 25 years and what our parents saw in the last 75 years. The opportunities are galore, whether they are in the non-profit space. There's 400 million people that are underserved. That's an opportunity. There's the whole Brazil of India. That's an opportunity. There is this super high spender 5 million base. There's an opportunity. I'm not going to be prescriptive of business you should be in, but tell me where there is an opportunity. Look at the public infrastructure spending. Look at defense spending. Look at what's going to be in terms of tech and defense. The only thing, what I would say is, don't copy things from the West to do just basic consumer stuff. Do something new, do something innovative, build something meaningful, create IP, own IP, create platforms. Don't take somebody else's platform and build on top of that. Like if somebody has built an AI platform, you build an engine on top, create something, sell it in 1 or 2 years. That's BS. I mean, create something which comes out of India. Look at Israel, right? The maximum number of billion or unicorns that came out of that country. Air, water, and food. What are you doing? Everybody can talk about AI here. AI क्या किस काम का अगर आपके पास खाना नहीं है, पानी नहीं है, आप ब्रीथ नहीं कर सकते हो. आप AI बना रहे हो, बट घर पे आपके पास वो एयर प्योरीफायर पड़ा हुआ है. Think about it, yeah. And all 1.4 billion, and we will max out at 1.7 till our population starts going down. We'll need all these three things.
Yeah. And it's getting terrible day by day. So
it's hard. But it has to reverse. You have to reverse the trend. And you have to find innovation. You have to invest money. You have to do path-breaking tech to be able to do that.
I'm sure somewhere someone has already working on it.
You need an entire movement of people to be able to do that.
More people do it.
Look at the agriculture sector in Israel. It's barren land, जहाँ बारिश नहीं होती है, but they produce the most amount of agriculture. All your drip irrigation, everything came from Israel. And today we are using it. कहाँ है अपना drip irrigation का बंदा?
That's what we need. That's what we need.
Correct.
Perfect. All right. Perfect. Thank you so much. It was
Thanks, Raj.
a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you.
I was really good. I hope we could do this again sometime next year, 2 years later.
We will.
We'll do it and we'll go much deeper on the things that we skipped.
For sure. Hi, Raj. How are you?
Very good. Very good. Pleasure to meet you.
Likewise, yeah. What's up? A lot of notes.
Little bit of notes. It's just like... Sorry?
How are things, I said?
Good.
Yeah.
Very good. Exciting times.
I didn't know whether recording was. I think in my calendar it was opposite Yashraj.
Achha.
So I know Adi. I went into Yashraj here.
Oh.
So I thought the shooting was inside. The guy saying, "Where is the shooting? Is it a music recording?" I said, "No, it's a Raj's show." So he said, "यहाँ पर तो नहीं." I said, "Adi is a friend. I'll call Adi." This, that. There was a little bit of confusion. Till Supraja saw me and she said, "Come opposite."
But you know, I get out of my home and go to airport. And I see BookMyShow ka building in there. And I'm always like, one day I'm going to have like building and have like Raj Shamani written on it, like figuring out written on it. Because the way BookMyShow is written, To me, it's like a daily reminder for what you're doing.
Come over to the office anytime.
थैंक यू सो मच ये एपिसोड एंड तक देखने के लिए। अब आपको 3 चीज़ें करनी है। सबसे पहले इस चैनल को सब्सक्राइब कर लो, क्योंकि जितना आप सब्सक्राइब करोगे उतने ही बेहतर और वैल्यूएबल गेस्ट हम ला पाएंगे आपके लिए। नंबर 2, मुझे कमेंट्स में बताओ इस एपिसोड में आपको क्या अच्छा लगा और क्या गंदा लगा, ताकि हम वो मिस्टेक्स रिपीट ना कर पाए। एंड कौन से ऐसे गेस्ट हैं जो आप देखना चाहते हो वापस हमारे पॉडकास्ट पे, ताकि हम उन्हें लेके आएँ और आपको ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा वैल्यू दे पाएँ। एंड नंबर 3, ये एपिसोड किसी एक इंसान के साथ ज़रूर शेयर करना, क्योंकि one conversation can change someone's life. I'll see you next time. Until then, keep figuring out.